Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Empowerment in Illness. I am Gwen, your host. This podcast was started to bring awareness to autoimmune diseases and chronic conditions. Whether you are newly diagnosed or have been managing your condition for years, understanding these complex illnesses can feel overwhelming. That's why I'm thrilled to have Dr. Ben Galliard here with us today. Dr. Ben is the founder and CEO of F8 Well Centers and the Galliard Method. Dr. Ben, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on.
Can you tell us what services you provide at F8 Well Centers and explain what the Galliard Method is?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we start thinking about functional medicine, it's really about the underlying why. You can think about it root cause medicine. You can think about it as just the why am I having this issue? Why do I have lupus? It goes back to my mom who had MS. And when I was a junior in high school, she got diagnosed with MS. She collapsed at one of my football games, and they had to carry her back to the car. And so they went through the process of figuring out, okay, this is MS. These are the drugs you're going to go on. Next year, she went on disability and was in this downward spiral. She was on the drugs, got a cane, ended up with a wheelchair, and it was like, well, that's going to be it. But fortunately, she found a doctor who wanted to get to the root cause. And it's really more causes than one root. It's more roots. So they found the roots that were causing this and went through gut and brain and blood sugar and inflammation and all these different things to the point where she was able to get off all the drugs, give away her wheelchair, give away her cane. Her last MRI showed no more plaquing, so she doesn't have MS anymore. She's 81 years old. She does granny boot camp, takes my kids fishing. I could show you a picture of her last week up in the middle of nowhere in Wyoming. She was out fly fishing with my dad and catching trout. And so she doesn't have MS anymore. And so that's what got me down this path was if somebody can truly heal from MS, what else can we heal from? And so my thought isn't, I don't want to get people into remission. I don't want to just be like, hey, let's calm it down a little bit. I want to get the body as healthy as feasibly possible, give it every opportunity to work at optimal. And for a lot of people, that means they can actually start reversing some of these chronic conditions.
Okay. So what are the most common autoimmune diseases you've encountered in your practice? How do they develop, and what are some of the early signs?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the crazy part, and this is how sick our society is getting in the United States. Regardless of political affiliation, Robert F. Kennedy had a great speech this past weekend where he just broke down how invasive the chronic disease is in the United States, and even with our children now, that we're seeing. I see just as many teens and 20-some-year-olds as I do 50 and 60-year-olds. I mean, it is rampant, and so. We'll see Hashimoto's. Hashimoto's is the number one most common autoimmune disease in the United States, and that's autoimmune to the thyroid. We see a lot of lupus. We see rheumatoid arthritis, a lot of Sjogren's, psoriasis, Crohn's disease, MS. If you look at like the top 10, we see a lot of those. But then we also see some that I can't even tell you the name of them. I remember, I saw it one time in my entire career. There's 190 named autoimmune diseases. And autoimmune is the third leading cause of death in the United States, just behind cancer and heart disease. So it's rampant what we're seeing. When you're talking about early stages, I mean, basically, if I see, and I had a couple of patients like this today that did not show up with the antibodies that we test in the blood work for autoimmune, and yet, they're tired. They've been on 30, 40, 50 rounds of antibiotics in their life. Their gut's not right. They've got joint pain. They're inflamed. They just haven't felt good for a long time. And my first thought is, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see autoimmune in their blood work. And if we don't, I'm like, great, we're going to catch this person before they get to autoimmune, because 9 times out of 10, if somebody's got all that stuff going on and they feel horrible and they're just not functioning like they're supposed to, they're they're going to get autoimmune down the road. That is how rampant this is. It's crazy how much we see as far as autoimmune goes in actually around the world, not just the United States anymore.
Oh, absolutely. It has increased, especially since I've been diagnosed. Because I get a lot of people that'll contact me, or I'll see it on social media. And it wasn't like that before. It seemed like everybody's been diagnosed with some type of autoimmune disease.
Absolutely. It's rampant. My wife going into college back in the 90s, she had her MMR booster before going into college, and 2 weeks later developed ITP. And there's a huge correlation between that booster vaccine and the ITP, which is autoimmune to the platelets. They ended up taking her spleen out. But here's the problem, is they did nothing to fix why she had that taken out. And the real culprit, if you guys want to Google and look up and start going down a rabbit hole, start searching cytokines. And CYTOKINES. Cytokines are ultimately the culprit that is leading us into this autoimmune flare that so many people are into. And certain things can drive this cytokine storm. Most people are set up for it. They already have leaky gut. Their blood sugar's already out of balance. They've already got inflammation, some different things. And then there is one factor that can push it over the top, having a baby. So many women, if they never felt right after having a baby and never felt good after having one of their babies, I almost guarantee 99% of the time that's autoimmune. And it was triggered by the estrogenic event of having the baby. Sometimes it could be a death, a divorce. I've seen so many people with their COVID shots that have stimulated autoimmune activity. Either they had it under control and it brought it back, or they never had it and now they do. And it's just, there's an insult that a lot of times can push somebody over the edge, but they usually have other underlying imbalances that are leading to that point.
Okay, and some of those are genetics?
Sure. I'm going to say it's a small part of it.
Okay.
It's a small part of it. Yes, my mom had MS and her cousin had MS. So maybe there's some genetic predisposition there. But ultimately, you could have, everybody in the family could have an autoimmune disease, but if somebody does what they need to do and they take care of their gut and keep their blood sugar stabilized and deal with any chronic infections they have going on, and they have optimal vitamin D levels and work through and have the body functioning as well as they possibly can, there's a good chance they don't get autoimmune.
Okay, the reason I ask that is because I have lupus in my sister. I have a couple of sisters that has it too.
Yeah,
so that's
absolutely. So there is genetics, and yet you guys also probably ate similar growing up and had similar stressors, and that there were other things that then propelled it. So there's hardly any autoimmune that you can look at and go, oh, that's just a genetic disease. That it's still primarily lifestyle driven.
Okay, so why are they so hard to diagnose?
It's interesting. ANA is the most common one that we see that doctors are like, this is what I hear from patients all the time. Oh, it was a false positive. So it was false positive, meaning it tested positive. And a lot of times it tested positive once and they go, it was a false positive. And I'm like, well, the only way it can be a false positive is if then it tests negative. And they're like, well, we didn't retest it. We just tested it once. So, that's kind of a cop-out. False positive doesn't really tell us anything. Sometimes they say, hey, your ANA is not high enough, so it doesn't really matter. Wait for it to get worse. Or they say, well, you don't have enough symptoms. It's high, but you don't have enough symptoms to diagnose you. So we'll just wait until you get more symptoms and then see what happens.
Okay.
So, with that, the problem is that the doctors are so focused on a diagnosis, because if they can get a diagnosis, or the patient can, then they can get a medication for it. But if they don't have a diagnosis, insurance is not going to pay $10,000 a month for Humira. They're not going to pay for methotrexate. And, if somebody doesn't have a diagnosis, you're like, holy cow, you're not going to give somebody low-dose chemo just based off of one ANA being high or whatever. So they've got to wait until somebody is in bad enough shape, and then they can prescribe the medication, which is usually immunosuppressant of some kind. But here's the problem, is that there's no endocrinologist out there, there's no rheumatologist, there's no neurologist that is going to say, hey, patient, I know your body is going haywire and it's causing itself to attack itself. It's creating this cytokine storm, and we need to figure out each and every system that may be driving the cytokine storm and driving this cytokine response that's destroying your own tissue. And then we also need to do some things to help your body downregulate the cytokines. As opposed to immunosuppressant, if you go on methotrexate, that's low-dose chemo, it's going to suppress the immune system. So that's not calming the cytokine storm. It's just squashing the whole immune system. It's not solving that underlying imbalance. So that's when you start thinking turmeric, resveratrol, glutathione, green tea, certain mushrooms, vitamin D, fish oil. All these things can downregulate that cytokine response as you go through and fix the systems that are driving this cytokine activity in the first place. And that's ultimately, if your doctor's not doing that, find a doctor that is going to take you by the hand and walk through the systems that are driving this cytokine response and help you calm it down and downregulate it.
I've been going to the doctor for a very long time. I have never in my lifetime heard a doctor or know one that can do that or will do that. I know what they will do. They will tell me, you were diagnosed with this particular thing and here's some pills.
Absolutely. And they can get a bad rap sometimes. An endocrinologist, somebody with Hashimoto's goes in and they raise their hormone, they lower their hormone, they raise their hormone. They're hormone doctors. That's what they're trained to do. A rheumatologist is trained to diagnose a condition and then give the drug specifically to treat that condition. They are not trained to do that. And this is the downfall of modern medicine because, a couple years ago, I got my finger pinched in the door and they sew the tip back on. I am very thankful I was able to go to urgent care, get them to sew it back on, and I still have my fingertip. It feels kind of funny still, but I have it. I have if you look at my finger, you're like, oh, he still has a finger. So I'm very thankful for that. But when we're starting to talk about chronic disease, chronic conditions that are like 60-70% of the U.S. population have these, that's where modern medicine fails horribly. There are no specialists, neurologists, rheumatologists, whatever, that even if they did know how to sit down and say, okay, what systems can be driving this cytokine storm, even if they could do that, do you think their HR department would let them? Do you think insurance would pay them enough to say, hey, we're going to sit down for the next 30 minutes or 60 minutes and we're going to spend 12, 14, 16 visits over the next 6 months like we do at F8 with our patients? That's not possible in their world. Most people, it takes, this is crazy, your rheumatologist, how long does it take sometimes to get in?
It takes at least 6 months to get an appointment, 6 months to a year.
Yeah, and so, now you're sitting there, and if you're in Canada, it's like 18 months because they've got the whole socialized medicine thing that's not working up there. So it takes even like 18 months up in Canada. You're sitting there and you're waiting, and you're expecting like this, oh my gosh, they're this specialist. They went to like extra lupus school or extra Hashimoto school, and they know all these answers. And you get there and you're like, that was kind of a dud. They just looked at it and go, okay, well, we're going to wait another year, or we're going to up this a little bit or lower that a little bit, but there's no solution. And a lot of it, if you think about it, I think a lot of them really don't think there is a solution. You go in and I ask people, I'll be doing live on social media, and there'll be hundreds of people on there. I'll say, tell me what your specialist said when you asked them, does it matter what food I eat, what I drink? Is there anything that helps, anything that hurts? And the vast majority of people that comment say, They ask those questions, and the doctor says, doesn't matter, just take this drug. That's it. I don't know if they're just don't want to put the time and energy in, or if they really don't know that there are solutions and answers and miracles. I mean, we have seen so many patients reverse or calm down their autoimmune. It's amazing the miracles we get to see. I've seen Sjogren's patients where within 6 weeks they don't have to use the mouthwash and the eye drops. I've seen patients with full-blown MS. I've got a MS patient. She just ran a 6-hour adventure race where she ran and biked and paddled and climbed and all this, and she's like 61 years old. We get to see miracles all the time, but because they are focusing on what am I going to do today to keep my cytokines calmed down and to prevent it from getting revved up. What am I going to focus on? Am I going to keep my blood sugar stabilized? Am I going to do things to help my microbiome, to help my leaky gut and prevent that gut lining from getting more damaged? Am I going to stabilize my stress response? What am I going to do with my vitamin D? Am I going to get outside? Am I going to get proper sleep? Am I going to help my immune system to not get a cold or COVID or flu or whatever? And then that actually drives my autoimmune. Those are the things successful patients are thinking about day in and day out.
But that's not what we're told. Someone with lupus is not supposed to be in the sun.
Sure, don't go out between 11 and 1, but first thing in the morning, are you supposed to be in the sun? Absolutely. Absolutely. You're supposed to go out, get sun on your eyelids. You're supposed to look towards the sun, and for the first 10, 15 minutes, get that exposure. That is not going to flare. That's not strong enough sun to flare up your lupus. But that is going to help your melatonin release at night. That's going to help your adrenals become activated. That's going to modulate your immune response and a lot of other good things.
And then you talked about diet and nutrition. And that's basically how you and I met. Because you were on live and you were talking about that. And I said, give me a cure for lupus. And you yelled and said, lupus chick, you are the cure. And I thought, okay, no one has ever said that. No doctor has told me I have the ability to cure my lupus.
There's no amount of drug that's going to fix your lupus. Would you agree with that? At this point, you've been around the block.
Yes.
You know, if there was a drug that was going to cure your lupus, they've thrown it all at you. If there's a supplement that was going to cure your lupus, I'd be on late night TV hawking that thing left and right.
I'd be the person saying, I am a believer. I know it happened to me.
Absolutely. But, you know, for my mom to heal her MS, there was no magic pill that did it. Natural, synthetic, whatever. You know, her body did that. So her body did it in the first place too. And if we take that self-responsibility that we did this to ourselves, yes, we can say there's some genetics to it, but ultimately we did things either purposely we're eating poorly and our blood sugar's off, or when we were a kid, we were given antibiotics, or maybe we were a C-section baby and we didn't get that good microbiome, or then our mom wasn't able to nurse us and so we didn't get our colostrum, and then getting ear infections at 6 months, and so we were drinking amoxicillin, the pink liquid stuff in the fridge, you know, from the time we were little. Every time we got an ear infection or strep throat, they were throwing that at us, and then we got UTI, and then in high school got mono, and then that Epstein-Barr virus sat in our body, and now we've got this chronic infection, and then went on birth control at 18 because we were getting a little acne, and they're like, well, just take these hormones, and they show that people that have been on birth control for over 10 years have a substantially higher risk of getting thyroid issues. Well, guess what? 90% of thyroid issues is Hashimoto's. So it doesn't affect the thyroid, it affects the autoimmune. So estrogenic events can drive that. And then somebody has a baby and then they never feel better after that. And that estrogenic event has driven this. They already had leaky gut, they had blood sugar issues, their vitamin D was low, they already had chronic stressors, they had this chronic infection, all these things, and then boom, have a baby, pushes it over the edge, that estrogenic event, or going through menopause, or going on hormone replacement, or, you know, when somebody dies or whatever, and then boom, pushes them over the edge. And so all these things were done to us or we did to ourselves. Once we accept that self-responsibility, then we can accept the self-healing and the self-repair. All of the cytokine storm, the vast majority of people that have one autoimmune condition have multiple. And so if you have one, you need to be testing for others, because there's a very good chance you have others. But still, it's the same cytokine response that is causing your body to attack one part of the body that's causing it to attack another part of the body. So what do we need to do? We need to get the cytokines under control and fix the systems that are driving those cytokines in the first place, regardless of whether you have lupus or MS or rheumatoid arthritis or Hashimoto's or Crohn's or psoriatic arthritis. It doesn't matter. It's the same basic idea. It's fixing you, not fixing the autoimmune.
Before we leave, I would like to close with a special portion of the show I call Healing Heartbeats. This is where we allow ourselves to wallow in sorrow. Give yourself 3 minutes to laugh, cry, scream, cuss, or sit in silence. Whatever you need to do to feel it, do it. Let the depression in for only 3 minutes. Once you reach 3 minutes, compartmentalize it and get back to living. This is a rinse and repeat behavior. You cannot let depression take over, because when it does, it will not let go. When someone passes away, they have the day they were born and the day they passed away. There is a dash in the middle. It's not a long line, it's a short dash. That dash represents your life. Go live in spite of having a chronic illness. Don't let your condition stop you. This is the end of Part 1, Expert Insights with Dr. Ben, Understanding Autoimmune Diseases and Chronic Conditions. Tune in next week as I continue my conversation with Dr. Ben. Until next time, remember, you have the strength, the heart, and the support to continue your journey. Be safe.